having a quorum. I'll open the meeting of March 18th. First item of business is we need to discuss the issue on the being sworn in. And I think you've all received the paperwork on that. And my suggestion is maybe tonight might not want to participate in case there's an issue going forward. I'll ask you, Sarah, your thoughts.
I'm sorry, can you repeat? What's your suggestion?
So maybe you refrain tonight from doing any voting or anything till we get the final?
No, I don't agree to that.
You don't agree? Okay. Well, I guess I'll read what I had sent to town council, as I said was going to happen last time. And what it was, the town council, and it said, in order to protect the town's interest in potential legal exposures, I offer the following. It was found that Sarah Khatib, elected member of the Walpole Planning Board in June 2020, failed to be sworn in until October 7th, 2020. The board had meetings on July 23rd, August 6th, September 17th, and this October 1st, which Ms. Khatib participated. The board has had meetings since the swearing in of October 7th on 10/14, 12/1, January 7th, February 4th, February 18th, March 4th, in which Ms. Khatib has participated. I brought this issue at the last meeting on the 4th. The member did not get sworn in prior to numerous meetings, and Ms. Khatib did not respond. I indicated to the board I would seek town council's opinion on all the problems surrounding a failure to take office. And the legal questions the board has facing the board prior to being sworn in is, first, are all the 4 meetings in question null and void? Are all the votes taken null and void? Are all the motions made by Ms. Khatib null and void? Are all the seconds made by Ms. Khatib null and void? What is the status of any request by Ms. Khatib to be part of a decision or incorporated into the plan? What is the status of any plan endorsed by Ms. Khatib? Are any other legal issues arising from failure not to be sworn in? Does an applicant have recourse against this failure? Does the public have a recourse against this failure? And what are the town and board's legal exposures to this issue? We're asking what is the required course of action or actions to any of the issues above. And then again, I ask the same questions after the swearing in, if that makes a difference or not. And for future reference, just for any members, for all of us, if you're not sworn in as a person, a legal member of the board, is there a time limit between time elected and time sworn in? Does participating in meetings without being sworn in give cause to be considered terminated as a member? Is a member liable personally for any action brought against the board by an applicant or a member of the public as it relates to a member not being a legal member of a board? And does the town's insurance policy cover this type of inaction of an individual member if suit is brought against the member? And does this failure play into any ethics? So that's what's been sent. We've not received a response to that. So I've asked that it would be probably prudent not to participate. And you have said you're going to go forward.
Yes. And I will, await and welcome town council's opinion on this issue.
Okay, so you're willing to risk any legal issues that by even participating tonight? Is that what you're saying?
I don't foresee a legal issue.
Okay, you don't. Okay. Well, given the fact that you're not a lawyer, we've asked town council on this, and they have to get sworn in. My opinion is you may not think it, but there's nothing to back that up. What does bother me, Sarah, is the fact that you knew you weren't sworn in and you never alerted this board to that fact.
Well, so I did, I neglected to get sworn in. That was my mistake. I, apologize to this board. I apologize to the people of Walpole. We were in the middle of a global pandemic, and my focus was on the health and safety of my family, the health and safety of our community, and supporting Walpole businesses. So when I did get sworn in, I was sworn in by the clerk, and she told me, oh, well, there might be, your votes, there might be an issue with your votes on, stuff before. And I thought about it, and we weren't really having hearings. We weren't really taking applications because we were in the state of emergency. And I thought, well, I didn't really take any major votes. And she said, okay. And I said, okay. And honestly, I haven't thought about it in like 6 months since it happened. So I was a little taken aback the last meeting. I don't know why you wouldn't speak to me, instead bring this up and spring it on the board. But, it is what it is. And I was sworn in before any public hearing, before, the public hearing for the last zoning. So I don't think there's an issue, and I do plan on participating today.
Okay, I'll take a few of the items you just mentioned. The pandemic, you can use that if you'd like, but it is to show that the 4 meetings prior to being sworn in were all held at the high school. The town hall was opened back up in July. You would come in to sign some plans. There was plenty of opportunities, so I didn't see that. I can't see that as an issue. The fact that I surprised you, once again, people always want to go after the one who brought it up, as opposed to on October 7th, the very next meeting, you could have said to everybody, I forgot to sign in, but you chose not to. And now I'm being portrayed as being a little mean, bringing it up, surprising you. Well, it wasn't a surprise. I think the surprise was that someone found out.
It wasn't anything to be found out. It's been published multiple times, things circulating on, the town clerk has published multiple times, like the date of swearing in, that's been out there. Yeah, so and yes, okay, I did go to town hall after, but I'm telling you, I forgot. That was my mistake, okay? I made that mistake. I had no ill will. I, at no time, stopped executing the duties of the planning board member. Never, okay? I neglected, it wasn't in my mind. And so I neglected to do that. And for that, I apologize, but it was not done maliciously.
Okay, didn't you also get sworn in for town meeting that day?
Yes.
Okay, so
I think so, yeah. I think so.
It was for town meeting more than that prompted you to get sworn in, okay? But the mere fact that you did not get sworn in, the prudent course of action would have been to alert everybody. And I will say, the town clerk does not publish online when people get sworn in, because it's a handwritten book. The only thing that's online is the town meeting members when they get elected and sworn. That's the only thing that's ever been published. So I didn't think this was a big deal, but whether it was published or not, the fact is you didn't alert us to it, so they could have been maybe taken care of beforehand.
What's to take care of exactly?
To be honest and forthwith.
So, Jack, I just want to, if I may.
Yes.
I just want to make a comment. So I also forgot to be sworn in for another different board, nothing to do with the planning board, and the town clerk told me the same thing, that any business up to that point, obviously could not have happened, but after that it was, I was sworn in. I was now a member of that board, and it is so easy to forget those things, particularly as Sarah said, during the situation we're in. Often the town clerk's been very good about reminding people, and we thank her for that, but they're also under the pressure of the pandemic. And I do think it would have been better just to have that discussion offline between you and Sarah without having to come to the meeting, because I think that would have been a better way to handle it.
Okay. Now, Phil, a couple things. What you just said is, yes, Matter of fact, what dragged me to this whole deal was the fact that I read the meeting notes of the Housing Partnership of November 17th, and right there it said you were not sworn in, so you wouldn't participate. So you knew that and didn't participate, and that's how they picked up on it. So, and the second thing is regarding the town clerk. I mean, they're not the experts at it. I don't particularly take what someone says secondary to clerk. Matter of fact, I asked the town clerk straight up, does she know of anything? And she didn't. She didn't know the laws. So that's where we would be with that. The pandemic, now that's not an excuse here. You knew you got elected. All right, you should have got sworn in. But when you knew you weren't sworn in, got sworn in, at that point, that's when that would have been prudent to bring forth. Now, as far as doing this on the side, that's the problem with government. It's called transparency, and this is what we have. And I'm not going to do this under the cover of darkness. It's happened, it's official, and I only brought out the truth.
Okay, so when I went to the town clerk's office I don't even know why I was there, but she told me, and so I was sworn in. So at no time did I come to a planning board meeting, hiding that I wasn't sworn in. Like I was sworn in, she told me I'm good to go, and that's it. I moved on. I didn't think about it. I wasn't withholding it. I didn't think it was a big deal. We hadn't done our official meetings yet, so. Again, it's my mistake. I made it. I apologize, but I had no ill will.
Well, we did have 4 meetings. They're all official. So,
okay. So take my votes away.
All I'm trying to do is protect the town. And I don't want to see anything further that could possibly have an issue down the road. And that's why I've asked. What I can do very simply is we're a board, and as a board member, I'm not going to put I took an oath of office, which we all now have, and I don't want to put us at risk. So I'm going to put this to a vote, and we'll see where the chips fall. Before I put a vote.
What's your motion?
My motion would be whether to allow you to participate. You can laugh all you want.
Do I get a vote in that?
Yeah. I know where you're going to vote, so it's pretty. I'm going to put it out there to the board members. That's all. I don't think there's anything funny about this. So I will put it to a vote. I'll make a motion that this board do not allow Ms. Khatib to participate tonight in this meeting due to the unknowns of the issue with the oath of office. Do I have a second?
Jack, before you make that vote, can you make public to the board what was sent to us by Jim Johnson regarding town council's opinion?
Jim Johnson sent an email, and it was just his opinion. He's not the lawyer.
It wasn't just his opinion.
Yes, it was written by him.
It was written by him, conveying town council's general.
Okay, we're going to go there. I'll go there. We don't have anything official right now. Done.
Right. So why are you voting on this?
Because it's not going to come in tonight. It's done.
Okay. So why are you withholding that information?
I'm not withholding because it's an opinion of a town administrator with a talk from somebody else. I asked, very simple. I do things very, very succinctly. I asked town council for opinion. I did not ask Mr. Johnson, the town administrator, for his opinion that he heard from town council. When you ask, you go with what the facts are, not something hearsay.
Okay, so can I read it?
It's you're gonna read it anyway, but I'm
Yes?
well, you seem to want to do it, so go ahead and read it.
Okay. So, from Town Administrator Jim Johnson, Jack and Sarah, I have yet to receive a formal response from Town Council. However, her and I spoke yesterday, and she told me she was working on a response. She did tell me that in most instances, this type of issue is usually raised by a developer or an applicant. These are my words, not a member of the board. Back to the email. The act of not being sworn in has the potential to create some problems. However, the individual was duly elected and she would not advise the planning board go back and undo previous actions. Once I receive a formal response, I will provide it to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is what he received from her. That was in his words, correct?
though I believe so. Yeah, it was an email sent by him.
Okay, so we
Sent
have,
sent from his email.
so we have a conversation that Mr. Johnson had with town council, and that's what he remembers from it. I don't see anything ironclad in there that says everything's set to go or anything. That's why I'm taking the err on the side of caution.
Okay, well, instead of just providing your opinion, I also provided that.
I don't, it's what do you mean my opinion? I have done everything that's been required to do. I don't have, my opinion is very simple. We need an answer from town council. That's what I'm waiting on. I'm not offering opinions one way or another. All I'm trying to do is watch out for the interests of the town. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
What was the motion? I just got logged on.
Okay, the motion was, do the circumstances surrounding the Sarah not have been sworn in on time, and the fact that we don't have a final legal opinion is what we're up against. I'm asking that we vote whether we allow Sarah to participate or not tonight.
Jack, can I just ask a question? Does the board have the right or the authority to take a vote and not allow a duly elected member not to participate?
A duly elected? Yeah, we have a duly elected, but we're not sure of the status of it. They're not being sworn in.
Yeah, but do we have the right to just have a vote and take a member's vote?
I'm getting challenged on all these things. I wish people would just do it right. I am here on the side of caution. That's all.
Well, I just want to make sure that isn't an illegal action. In other words,
Well, I asked her very nicely, very succinctly, would you not participate just to protect it? I was told, no, I want to participate. What would you like me to do, Phil? Just forget this happened? Just let it go on?
I would just wait for legal finding, I guess.
Okay, but what happens if we keep burying ourselves? Do you keep going over your head? That's all my point is.
Well, I can't imagine that since she's now sworn in, she's not anything going forward she's a valid member. I mean, if she had been ill or sick and wasn't able to get sworn in for 3 months and then she got sworn in, she'd be there now. Now, if she was at meetings and not sworn in, that's a different question. That to me would be what we might be looking for legal counsel to answer. But I don't want to. I'm not trying to give legal advice or not, but I'm just trying to, look at this in different logical ways.
I didn't create the problem. I'm trying to solve a problem, or actually I'm trying to make a problem not get any worse than it is.
Can I say something?
Yep.
So, obviously I have no legal expertise, but everything you do with town, you have to get sworn in. So even down to something as simple as, well, not simple, but as non-official as the 300th anniversary committee. I got appointed to that recently and received notification, and it said blatantly that before you could become a member of the board or be participating, you had to get sworn in. When you work the elections, you have to get sworn in. Anything you do, you have to get sworn in. So I know it's very important. You have to take the oath and swear that you are going to uphold everything to the highest level. Yes, it's a technicality, but I think it's really important. So that being said, I have no idea how it impacts things that have occurred prior to the swearing in. I would think it would have some sort of impact, but I don't know that until legal comes back. As far as from tonight's meeting, I don't have as much concern as what happened prior to the swearing in, because she has been sworn in. That being said, again, I'm no lawyer. So what do I know? What would concern me more, I think, is if we had any votes tonight that weren't, if they weren't a majority, if Sarah weren't participating. So if it's a 3-2 and she's on the 3 side, that would concern me. Because if I'm wrong and there is some sort of legal issue, that would concern me. That being said, I think she's aware of everything that's been discussed, and I think if she's gonna take that risk, that's up to her. I don't think that's for me to decide, because I am not an attorney and I don't know. But I think we have everything on the table. It's right out there. Everyone knows what's going on, and I think if we have a vote that could be questionable, it could be something that's very concerning.
I'll take something Phil said. I'll change the motion to a vote to recommend not to participate. It's a recommendation. He said he doesn't know if we can do it legally. I don't either. All that we're doing is saying we're recommending. So I'll change my motion to that. Do I have a second for that?
I think the liability's more on Sarah than us, Jack. Like, that's her, she's educated on the matter, and it's up to her to take the risk. I mean, she's the one who knows what's the implications could be, and it's her on the line, not us.
Okay. All right, so it appears that I'm not gonna get a second even on the recommendation. Well, I will state it that my opinion succinctly is, in order to protect the interests of the board of the town, the public, and any
Whenever's a good
applicant
time.
before us,
Whenever's a good time for you.
anybody, I'll make a statement to anybody in the audience, please mute until you're called upon, because we're getting back feed from other people. Thank you. Okay, my statement is, my recommendation is, it's protection of the town, protection of the board, protection of the applicants and the public. So that's so that would be my recommendation. I don't know if anybody else wants to speak to it. All right, no one does. Guess we'll just move on. All right, and since we're already at the town meeting, that's one up is Article 17. And Article 17 is to amend zoning article. It's let me start again for everybody out there. It's a public hearing. It's part of the process, Mass General laws, that any article for zoning comes in front of the planning board, so the public gets to hear it. And once I read the article, and you'll get your turn to speak. And when I say Article 17, just so anybody knows, that's how it appears in the town warrant. It isn't called town. I'm getting back feed again, please. And okay, I'll read it now. The hour being after 7:15, we have Article 17. It says to amend the zoning bylaws, the zoning map to establish a stadium event parking overlay district encompassing land within approximately a half-mile radius of the midline of Water Street at the town of Walpole and town of Foxborough boundary for the purpose of allowing temporary parking as an accessory use of private property during.
Oh my God. That sounds like this.
All right, hello? Whoever's in the background laughing, please mute your mic, please.
You're on this.
And at Gillette Stadium, or take any action here to the full text of the amendment in the overlay district are on file for review at the office, the town clerk, or the planning department. Okay, we have opened it up. We've also received from town council before we get into it, so everybody understands, is there's an issue with the notification and notice that it wasn't done according to the
That's okay.
required.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if you're the host of the meeting, you should be able to mute people.
Not the host.
Oh, well, whoever is the host, can they mute everyone?
Don't know. So, what we have here with Article 17, what happened is the notices were not done properly to all the abutters within the half mile and outside the half mile, and the map did not align itself with the article. So town council has advised to open the hearing, to continue it to a time certain. But you don't take any testimony, because typically when you have issues with notifications and that, you don't take testimony. You open it to the continue, and we will, right now, we can continue this on April 15th or 14th. Let's see, whatever the second,
And April 1st and April 15th
it'll
listed.
have to be April 15th. Okay? And we will have to continue this till April 15th at 7:15. In the meantime, I'm not sure what the applicant will be doing, but they will have to, if they're gonna go forward with this, is amend the map to agree with the article and do the notifications based upon everything within the circle and everything outside the circle.
I need my microphone.
So we opened it to continue it. As far as doing any testimony
Okay.
to the good, bad, or anything, we can't do it. Okay? And I know since we've continued it, I'd ask if Ms. Hoag is out there. Does she understand all this? Cindy, if you want to tune in. No?
Okay,
Yeah.
Jack
Okay.
Wiley.
I'm here with Jack Wiley.
Okay.
I guess we're not on video for some reason. But go ahead. Yes, we will, do you need us to agree to continue?
No, with town council, it's funny, Jack. They said for us to continue. They didn't say to ask you guys. So, I mean, if you're gonna go through with it, yeah, we'll set it for that date. If you're gonna not go through with it, we'll still have to have that date to say that you didn't choose not to go through. I don't know if that makes sense.
We plan to go through with it.
Okay. So you gotta, we'll have to renotice people, re-advertise and all that, and then that'll occur on April 15th, and we'll do it at 7:15.
Is there a date after April 15th that would also apply?
Whatever our first meeting in March is, March. May would be May. Actually, I got a calendar that only goes to
Says
March.
May 6th.
Yeah, is that when you want to do it?
Is that after the town meeting, though?
When's town meeting?
I'm not sure. I thought it was early in May, but
I'm not a town meeting member, so I don't know. Would anybody know?
It's going to be on Saturday, May 1st.
May 1st, yes.
Okay.
So April 15th is the date then, okay,
Okay, yep.
all right. And do you need us, someone had mentioned that we would need to agree to extend the
No,
hearing? Is
no,
that
what is it?
applicable?
No, it's not like your hearings or mine, Jack. This is where they say you have to open it up within 65 days, which we did. It doesn't give you a time frame in which we have to act. Okay? That's why town council told us to continue to this date.
Okay,
So we're under the 65 days, and then by moving it to the 15th of April, we've complied with the zoning bylaw of public hearings.
okay, fine,
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Our next article up will be, once again, this will appear as Article 18 on the town warrant, and what it says is to amend the zoning map to add a portion of the town of Walpole Assessors Lot 4171 located at 455 South Street to the large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic overlay district or take any action there. 2, this is a petition of Phil Mackey Esquire. And just so how everybody understands the hearing, since this one's going forward, the applicant, and I assume will be Mr. Mackey, will give us the overview in his presentation. The board may ask some questions. I will read any comments that are from any other boards or committees or departments in the town. And then once that's done, the public will get to speak. That being said, in the hearing open, Mr. Mackey?
Oh, Jack?
Yeah.
Make a quick comment. I just want to go on the record to say that I made a disclosure of appearance of conflict of interest. And I made that disclosure because I'm a member and have been the past co-chair of Walpole Green, which has been advocating for renewable energy for solar and I've been very active in the town. So I just want to make that disclosure. But I have no relationship at all to this project.
Okay, Phil, I don't know. I don't know why you had to do it. My understanding is that the only time is if you're next to the property or something. But okay.
I've consulted with the Attorney General's office, and they told me I should do it.
Oh, yeah, they usually err on the side of caution. Okay. Well, Mr. Jaworski has made that notice to us. So that being said, Mr. Mackey, are you presenting?
I am.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Phil Mackey, 1256 Washington Street, Norwood, Massachusetts. I apparently am actually the petitioner here, or at least the first signature of the 10. However, I am also counsel for Ironwood Renewables and through a purchase and sale agreement with Harwood Engineering, the current and proposed future owner of the land in question. As a way of introduction, Ironwood Renewables, and I guess I can share my screen. I have a presentation here that might be useful as we go through. If you'd like me to, Mr. Chairman, I can give that a shot. If not, I can keep talking.
If you would, Phil, because we don't have the capabilities of doing that, and it would be good for the audience to see exactly where this is and what you plan on doing.
All righty. Hopefully that brought it up. All right, Mr. Chairman, can you see the screen at this point?
Yes.
Great. So as I said, I'm here on behalf of Ironwood Renewables, and amongst, I think, the majority of the participants, I have Hamilton Carrier from Ironwood Renewables, as well as his environmental and engineering folks, should you have questions that go beyond my knowledge of the project. So basically, their primary goal is to get a win-win-win, if you will, for the landowner, the town, as well as themselves. And the slide pretty much speaks for itself. So I'm going to continue on through to get to the meat of it. Basically, you can see in the map they have developed solar sites in the south, in Minnesota. Kind of wondering there, but apparently there must be a lot of sun and very little clouds, and then also up in the northeast. So they're not new to the game. They're a respected developer in the industry, and they think they have a good project here in Walpole. The nuts and bolts of the project are as follows. If the board acts favorably and town meeting agrees to rezone property at 455 South Street, it would become part of the ground-mounted photovoltaic overlay district. As most people know, there was a gravel pit years and years and years ago behind Harwood Engineering, and they're proposing to reuse that for solar. They're looking at approximately 2 megawatts in capacity. Harwood Engineering is expected to remain on site. And it'll show you in a little bit, basically the array, once it's built, will be behind the existing engineering building and really would have minimal impact on South Street. We're hoping to start construction in the second quarter 21. That might be, well, everything these days, as we know, is best guess given the vaccines and construction delays and what have you. But that's when we started this, really what we were hoping for. And it really has nothing to do with zoning, as you may have recalled from the fall town meeting, but it's anticipated that a pilot agreement would be negotiated with the town administration. That is not part of the zoning article. It was purposely split into two so that your board is being asked to only act on an adjustment or amendment to the zoning map. It has nothing to do with finances. Finances don't belong in the zoning bylaw. So, having said all of that, this map here, this plan, pretty much shows you what's the locus, the area, the abutters, and the site that we're trying to have included in the overlay district. And so basically, the entire Harwood parcel is proposed for inclusion into the overlay district. That does not mean that the array will encompass the entire parcel, and for that matter, Ironwood is not buying, again, the existing Harwood Engineering building. So as I show you in a moment what construction potentially could look like, you'll get a better understanding. However, as Harwood owns the entire parcel and is part of, or would have been part of the application, but for a reading that said 10 signatures were preferred over the actual property owner, their entire property is being proposed. Just keeps things legally simpler and hopefully clearer as the process goes through. You can see within 300 feet, the main abutters are SM LaRusso, PJ Hayes, and a variety of different LLCs, and the town of Walpole. Southside LLC is also an abutter. I'm not entirely sure who the members are of that one. But by and large, the site is entirely within industrial zone, and I would remind the board and any of the public who is listening, this is in addition to an overlay district. It doesn't actually change the underlying use, so it's industrial property. It will remain industrial property. The only thing that's being allowed, should this article go forward, is to include the parcel you see outlined in red into the overlay district. And again, Mr. Chairman, just I beg your not forgiveness here, indulgence, to explain to anyone who may or may not be listening. If the board chooses to vote favorably for this and it gets favorable action at town meeting, nothing is actually being approved at this point. We are in effect asking to be added to the solar overlay district. That would then allow us to apply to both your board for site plan review and what other permits are necessary under the zoning bylaw, as well as conservation. I don't know if Jack's still on here or not. But that's the long and short of what we're doing here. And then finally, I'll have to minimize this and hopefully we can keep it onto the screen. All right. This is purely a draft and a concept. As I said, we're not asking for approval of anything at this point, but to give you a visualization of roughly what we think could be there, this plan will serve. As you can see in this area right here, that is the existing Harwood Engineering building that would not be acquired by Ironwood Renewables. As far as I know, they are a going concern and intend to stay. But that's really outside of the purview of the potential zoning article. The other piece that I would just bring to your attention is we understand, we know that there are some wetland areas up front being along South Street. South Street is, if you can follow my cursor, kind of follows down here and then goes off to the side here. So you have a wetland area here, here, and here. And basically by shifting the entire array, you can see where the gravel was taken out and the land was disturbed down in this area here. We can leave the South Street streetscape, if you will, by and large alone. You will see a new driveway. You can see basically where we think it's going to go. And again, that will be dictated by engineering concerns once we get to that point. But our first best guess right now is to kind of cut the space in between the various no disturb zones created by the wetlands. So it doesn't turn into a straight driveway, but it does provide access, we think, which will be suitable for everybody. And again, this is here merely to show the majority of the overlay, of the array itself will be to the back of the site. It'll be behind the existing Harwood building, and there will be a significant amount of vegetation left along South Street, by and large due to the buffer zones created by the wetlands. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I've given my overview. As I've said, I have engineers and environmental folks as well as representatives for Ironwood, and we'd be happy to answer your questions in as much depth as you care to go.
Okay, and as you said, this is for an overlay for zone as opposed to being a plan, and it may never look like this, correct?
Correct.
The site is going to be changed to an overlay. So it may get built, may not, but you want that ability, okay?
That is correct.
All right, I have comments from the different boards. First one's from the Board of Health. And the Board of Health at the March 2nd meeting voted unanimously that the board has no concerns with this article. From Sewer and Water Commission, dated February 25th. Sewer and Water Commissioners have no comments regarding the above subject. Carl Baldoff, Town Engineer, March 16th. And he indicated we have no engineering related comments on the article. Conservation, at their March 10th meeting, Conservation discussed Article 18, had a few comments. Conservation is concerned with the locating of solar fields within non-degraded or undeveloped riverfront area of the ponds or its tributaries. And the conservation is concerned with removing trees to locate solar fields within 100 foot of wetlands of vernal pools. And those are the only public comments. Right now, I'll turn it over to board comments. John?
Phil, could you bring back the map you had up before?
Yes, I can.
The off to the left, beyond the railroad tracks or something, what am I seeing off to the left there? Are those businesses?
That is, I believe, P.J. Hayes's farm, if you will. If you remember, before he built, it's not on the map, but his new office building would basically be where my cursor is here.
Okay.
The old office shed, I believe, is this building here. He's got granite and stone laid down here.
So it's basically storage areas for him?
Yes. As far as I know.
So there are no residential areas anywhere nearby, I believe.
No, we have no residential abutters to this property.
And Harwood Engineering is planning on continuing to operate with the solar array behind it then?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay. I don't have any other issues. Thank you.
Okay. Kate? Kate. Miss Beatty. All right, rather get your...
I was on a roll there. Sorry about that. I put that on mute because the dog was bothering me. So the fact that this is an industrial zone and it's so positive for the environment, and it's a great location because there are no residents impacted by it, I think it's a win-win. I have no questions, no issues.
Okay. Phil?
What was the number of kilowatt hours?
The 2 megawatts, Phil, at least
2
anticipated.
2 megawatts. Okay, yeah. And the connection to the grid, would that go straight to South Street then, or?
I am going to ask one of the engineers to jump on because you have just exceeded my knowledge.
This is Greg Dixon, Krebs and Lansing. I'm the civil engineer. The plan is for it to connect to the grid on South Street. There's an existing line. If you kind of zoom into where the road comes into the site, you can see where that connection will be, approximately.
And that would probably be underground. I mean, this is all be hypothetical, obviously. So just
yeah, it'll be underground. It will come above ground as you get closer to the road.
And I noticed on the map there's some rise to the land. I couldn't would there have to be, do we have to do a lot of land shaping, or how suitable is it for for doing the panels without a lot of land?
We will have to manipulate the grades on site. It's a former gravel pit, so the material that they removed didn't exactly leave it in kind of flat condition, ready for solar racking. So.
And it just probably, we should run aside. These are good projects in the sense of the, more solar, but the trade-off obviously is, giving up some of our zone land. Want to make sure we don't give up too much land where we want to do development. This is an industrial zone, so I just want to say that's a trade-off. And then trees, cutting down trees, that's always a trade-off as well. Though, if it was done, if it was developed for anything else, we'd probably be cutting down trees anyways.
The site is, sorry if I could just chime in there. The site isn't really densely forested. There's a fair bit of open area, and it was altered heavily during the excavation of that gravel pit. So there's some regenerating timber out there, but it's fairly small and incredibly sparse.
Okay, so it looked mixed to me too. I drove by it.
Yeah, the whole site has been disturbed. Even if you go up into the forested area, kind of behind Harwood, most of those trees are fairly small. There's some borrow piles. The whole site was fairly altered. If you look at historical photos, it's been disturbed for the entire footprint of the project is on sort of made land, so to speak.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's not. I certainly, it's certainly a very suitable place for solar in that regard. Putting solar where land had already been disturbed is good. I don't think I have any other questions. The water is important. I noticed it's in the primary recharge area 3 for our water resource protection overlay, but again, solar is that works out very well with water protection. So, I don't think I have other questions. Thank you.
Okay. Sarah?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in general, it's my opinion that we have not been supplied sufficient information to evaluate this site for addition to the overlay. So that's just where I'm coming from, but I have a couple questions. For the applicant, can you explain, so you mentioned that it's for Harwood Engineering and Ironwood Renewables. Do they have other sites within Walpole, or are they proposing other sites within Walpole, or do they have other solar projects nearby?
This is it for Walpole. I'll let them speak to Massachusetts in July.
Yeah, Sarah, this is Hamilton Carrier, project developer at Ironwood. We have 4 other projects in the southeast region of Massachusetts, but at most probably 40 miles away from Walpole.
Okay, so then if I could just, I would just state the things that I wish I had and I think would be appropriate when asking to be added to our solar overlay. I'd like to see a map showing the existing conditions of the site, where you identify wetlands, topography, major natural features, any issues with contamination. You mentioned that there's some wetlands, but we haven't been provided any plans with the actual locations.
It actually shows you right on the screen, Sarah.
That's not part of the article.
No, it's not, and it's not properly part of the article either. the zoning bylaw is very, very specific, as you have, not you personally, and I'm not, this is a board comment, not a Sarah comment. The board has been very stringent on meeting the letter of the law of the book. And I guarantee you, I have hit every clause and every sentence. And what you're asking for is perfectly reasonable as presentation goes, but it's not part of the article.
Okay. I also have questions about the environmental impact, you know, as far as contamination, whether there's any existing or potential impacts to, you know, natural animals and birds, tree clearing, which other members have mentioned, and also earth removal. I had a question of the location of panels, so that's good that you've shown this sheet. And if anyone could answer, what is the proposed or expected view from surrounding sites or the panels? Which sites will you be able to see the panels, if any?
If you're asking which abutters can see, I presume.
Yeah, or can you see it from South Street?
I don't think you're going to be able to. I mean, the devil will be in the details when we're in front of you, and I've taken a list because I imagine you're going to ask for every one of these when I go for site plan. The way we're anticipating this is, I think the Harwood building itself is going to be a buffer. And then if you look at this area here, other than this driveway, which kind of S's its way down into the gravel pit itself, we're anticipating this is undisturbed. I mean, that clearly is going to be your jurisdiction, and concurrently the jurisdiction of conservation as to what that really looks like when we have a final plan. But we're not anticipating this being visible from South Street, or at least if it is, it won't be well visible. It should be well screened.
Okay, that's it then. Thank you.
Okay, I have a few things here too, and one of them is just to clear up, this is just for an overlay, and whether anything to do with the environment, anything to do with wetlands or anything is not part of it. That is dealt at a later date. The one thing about this site that it's way better than Norfolk County's trying to do is you won't see it, and they, aside from having to keep the trees, they're keeping the trees so you never even know it's there. A couple other questions I have though regarding this. When you talk about how much power, you know, you talk about kilowatts. What does that mean to us? How many houses does that do? I'm asking. I know not you, Phil. I'll ask the Ironwood people. Hello?
Hamilton or Dale? There you go.
Let's say, Greg, do you have that? I could do some math real quick, but maybe you know it off the top of your head.
I don't know it off the top of my head, but
Hold on, I can do some math.
Roughly.
It's probably around 500.
Okay. That's one thing I know people are interested in, to know what the capacity is and what we're getting out of it. If you did all this for two houses, I think people may not be that on board with it.
And, you know, and it depends on, you know, their consumption. So that's, you know, that's kind of probably middle of the road. If their consumption's low, it might be higher. So just kind of
understood, but we're talking 500 plus or minus one way or another. Okay. And the other thing, I have a question, nothing to do necessarily with this overlay, but once upon a time when we did a bunch, as a matter of fact, within a baseball throw, there's one up at the end of Industrial Road, and I'm sure you guys are aware, correct? It's right in this area across the past PJs and across the railroad tracks. But I just question, back when they did that, they talked about being able to connect the grid, and you couldn't do too many of these because the power company's only letting a certain amount of these online. Like they're limited. Is there still a limitation, or is that gone by the wayside? Is how much solar can be put back onto the grid?
As part of developing the project, you go through a evaluation with the grid, and they determine how much the grid can handle and sort of where the off-takers will go. So that's part of the process.
Oh, I understand that, but it's the previous guys, you know, this is 10 years ago, they indicated that, you know, at the time, Boston Edison could only take X amount of kilowatts, and if you got in under that, but if you had, and you get 2 kilowatts over what they've already taken, they had a limit on how much could be.
Yep.
I guess this is not the way anymore?
Well, so it's more that they have a bunch of different projects within a queue.
Okay.
And they take projects on as they need the power and as they transfer some of power from renewable from other sources.
Okay.
So that's kind of
the project's fairly small when it comes to generators. You know, 2 megawatts is something that can be plugged into 3-phase fairly easily. So there's capacity that likely remains on this line. So when they built that project, you know, there certainly was a limit to what the grid could take. But you know, through the interconnection study, they'll prove out that the grid can accept the power from this project.
Okay. All right. That was all my only comments or questions. I will open up to anybody in the public, since I can't see anybody, but if someone wants to speak up and identify themselves, please do. Gee, Phil, you're a popular guy.
I'll take it.
God. Wow. Okay. With no questions from the public, I'll make a motion to, I don't say endorse. Yeah, endorse Article 8.
Jack,
What?
excuse me, favorable action.
Favorable action? Okay.
Yep.
Favorable action on Article 18 for the large-scale ground-mounted solar voltaic overlay district. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Kate. All those in favor say aye. Kate?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jack? Aye. Sarah?
No.
Phil?
Aye.
Okay, so the vote was 4-1-0. Okay. Good luck at town meeting.
Thank you.
You know, if it's real hot that day, you guys may not get a good vote because everybody's going to be fried out there in the football field. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Moving on. Go back to we have no more hearings and no more public hearings or appointments. So with that being said, we have to go back. We have minutes. I'll make a motion to accept the February 4th and the March 4th meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, I guess John was louder. Okay. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Say aye. Phil?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Jack? Aye. And I got everybody, right?
Yep.
Okay, I think, what does Phil do to our,
I don't know.
Here we go.
There it goes.
Jeez. Okay.
Jack, before you leave the meeting, Patrick, our new
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
development person, would like to say a few words to the board, just as an introduction.
Yep. Is he on camera or?
He's on
Alrighty.
camera.
How
How we doing?
Hi, Patrick.
Hi, nice to meet you all. So I'm Pat DeShanes. I'm taking over for
There we
Ashley. Oh, how you doing? I'm taking over for Ashley as the new Community and Economic Development Director. I just wanted to sit in and listen and just reintroduce myself to the board. Happy to be here.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks,
Right
Pat.
now, there's a big party in your office, so just so you know.
You bring the cake.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Darwin Common. I just want to go through the comments. We need the comments back by when, Kate? That's the 40B that's in potential coming through.
Right, but it's a potential. It's not. It was just sort of like giving the board a heads up. It's not.
Okay, so they don't need the comments then?
Well, if there were any that the board had before they actually filed, they haven't actually filed the application yet. So, I mean, the board has plenty of time. It was just a heads up for the board to kind of look it over.
Okay. All right. Well, that takes that one. So the other one we had for the housing partnership, do have a little snafu here. Is it appears that zoning board is yet to appoint anybody, or whether they will appoint anybody, which might be an issue based upon how we voted this. Does anyone want to make a comment?
I do, Jack.
Go ahead, Phil.
I think, hopefully the zoning board of appeals will be able to join, but even if they're not, it would still be good to have both the housing partnership and the planning board work together on this. It's interesting. I went to one of the CPTC training sessions on drafting zoning amendments, and one of the things they talk a lot about in the course was collaboration among boards to draft zoning bylaws, because it ensures or helps make the arguments. I'm sorry, the article is drafted in a way that will be acceptable, and it's good to have all that input because different people will catch different things. So I think this is in that spirit of bringing boards together to draft this article, and I think we'll actually come up with a better process, a better product, because we'll have getting that more input across the boards. So I hope we would still do it even if the zoning board of appeals is not able to participate.
Okay, well, I'll read your motion, Phil, just so everybody understands, because it's going to happen, I think, but I just want to make sure so everybody understands we don't do anything that's outside of what we should be doing. But it said you've made the motion that the planning board accept an invitation from the housing partnership to send or appoint 1 or 2 members to a joint committee, and invite the zoning board to send 1 or 2 members to join that committee, and that the number of members be determined at the first meeting of the joint committee. Okay, so it said that we were going to invite the zoning board to send 1 or 2 members. Right now that hasn't happened. I'm not sure what it will mean, so.
But Mr. Chair, I think if it's not going to happen, would be because the ZBA would have been advised from town council to not participate, not because they refuse or they don't want to. So I think they're just kind of waiting to make sure that they can, that it's advisable that they send 1 or 2 members. So I don't think that really plays into us sending 2 members.
Well, it said we accepted the invite from the housing partnership, which essentially it came back from the board of selectmen, and that we invite the zoning board to send 1 or 2 members, which to join the committee. That's how it was said. So we take the vote for its face value is to be on the committee. We expected to have a couple members of the housing partnership, a couple of the zoning, and a couple of ours. Right now we don't have the zoning knowing whether they're going to do it or not. That may come out they are. So I just don't want to jump the gun and have an issue with the committee. That's my view.
What would the issue be?
Well, our vote was very clear that we were expecting to have 2 members of the zoning board. That's all.
The vote was very clear that we were going to invite them.
Yeah, to send 1 or 2 members. Yes.
To invite them.
To send 1 or 2 members. That's what it said.
Yeah, if you might recall, when I made those motions, we had to do it. We had to take back motions because that was one of the corrections I made, was to insert the words invite rather than to assume they were going to be attending. So I think it doesn't mandate they have to be there. We certainly hope that will work out, but I don't think it would stop us and our partnership from participating in the joint committee. or at the very least, we should go forward and elect our members tonight, because that's the one step to get us there. The partnership has already done so, so we would only be, making another step forward here.
I'm reading what it says. I'm going to be the big bad guy in this, which is fine. But if you read the vote, you would have thought the vote was made by the members that they anticipated to have members of the zoning board, and we don't have that yet. But that's how I read this.
You could reread it.
Right.
When you just read it, I thought, perhaps I'm mistaken, I thought I heard you say and that we will invite the ZBA members.
That was the word, yeah.
I understand, and I will read it again. Mr. Chekarowski moved that the planning board accept the invitation from the housing partnership to send or appoint 1 or 2 members to join a joint committee, and invite the zoning board to send 1 or 2 members to join that joint committee, and the number of members to be determined at the first meeting of the joint committee. Right? So simply invite with the anticipation of having members of the zoning board.
Right, so can I make a motion that we nominate people to send to this joint committee, please?
Okay, I have another question.
I would like to speak first.
Okay, John, I have one point of clarification. Go ahead, John, I'll make my point after.
As one of the ones who did vote favorably for the joint committee, I was voting favorably with the anticipation of all 3 groups being involved in any updates and changes to the proposed zoning amendment. Now, from listening to the zoning board's meeting where they discussed this, they had issues as to whether it might be contrary to what they want to be in, and they did make the motion that they ask town council whether it was against what they wanted for zoning board or not. So if they haven't heard back, I believe we'd be premature on going forward with this at this time. I would prefer to find out what zoning has decided, whether they will become involved or not, and see how that changes the makeup of the joint committee.
Okay.
Jack, if I may, I agree in waiting, because as you recall, my vote was to abstain pending the ZBA's vote to participate. So I agree to hold off.
Okay. Now, everybody understood how the motion went, and if we want to close the motion off, the loop on it, I don't believe any invite was ever sent from this board to the zoning board. I don't recall that, and that was in the motion. So right now, I guess I'll make a motion that we ask the zoning board to put 1 to 2 members on the new inclusionary zoning, what do you want to call it, committee.
Advisory board?
Yeah. I mean, we're going to close the loop because nothing happened. We didn't ask them, so I think that was in the motion, so we might as well do it now. I'll make that. I'll make a motion in that manner. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussions?
But yeah, could we just piggyback on what the housing partnership, because they already invited the zoning, their own board of appeals, there's been discussions, they're already pursuing it. So
what I don't understand, Phil, why is everything, when it doesn't seem to go the way you want, we just got to ignore it? No, we made a motion. The motion was to invite. It went 3-1-1 to invite the zoning board. It didn't happen. I am closing the loop. That's all I'm doing.
And I'm just trying to make sure that things move along, when it makes sense. In other words,
I do have a caution. If this is the way, we try to set up a committee and don't do everything. I have a real problem with someone trying to change the entire zoning in the town. I mean, if you can't get this right, how much faith are you gonna have doing the whole rework? So I have it as a motion, and we had a second. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor? John?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Jack? Aye. Sarah?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll send that off, and by next meeting, we'll probably have both back, and then we can start from there.
But Jack, could we actually pick, or we don't want, so I know some people don't want to pick possible candidates tonight, but I'm wondering if we couldn't do that just to move things forward a step. I mean, at the very worst, that nothing would happen at the end, but at least we made a step, assuming everything's going to work out.
If we want to informally decide amongst ourselves who would be likely candidates, I'm okay with that. But I think taking any kind of formal vote would be incorrect at this time.
Well, my opinion is we did a vote, we're gonna invite it, so that may change who wants to be on it, but, okay? I guess anybody, if you wanna throw out your interest now, that's not a big deal. It's non-binding.
Correct.
To be considered. We have anybody who would be interested in, how's that? How's that with you, John?
I will be willing to participate in it, since I was one of the ones who led to it.
Okay. Phil?
Since I'm on both the housing partnership and the zoning, and the planning board, I'm not looking to be on it only because that would cause problems with having a quorum, or being on both boards then. So unless no one else wants to do it, I suggest that someone else take that part.
Okay, Phil.
I agree.
Sarah?
Well, I was gonna nominate John, so I'm happy to hear that he's interested. And I'm also interested.
Okay. Kate?
I'm not interested in serving on it. Glad to hear what they have to say, but based on the way things have transpired, I think it's best that I step back and wait to hear what they come up with.
Okay. And since you have the people who are interested, that's fine. So I won't begrudge anybody else. It's a good thing I didn't bet on Phil. I would have lost a lot of money, Phil, on you. I thought you'd be jumping for it, but you pointed out why, and I understand now. Okay. All right, we'll send that along, and hopefully by next meeting, everything will be solved that we discussed tonight, or resolved in some way. Okay? Make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Phil. Okay, Phil? Vote, please.
Aye.
Yeah, okay. Sarah?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jack? Aye. Ayes have it, so thank you, and on April 1st.
Have a good night, everyone.
Okay.
Good night.